Dear students, now we are discussing about naming of these elements. So how elements are named in the periodic table. So let us discuss about that. So this is the periodic table, and to discuss this concept and to discuss about the different blocks and their properties, that is S, P, D and F blocks, we require periodic table. So that is why I am explaining on this graphical slate. Okay, now let us. So we will study about the naming of the elements. Sima. So from the very olden days, we know some elements, and those elements we can call them as ancient elements. So what are the ancient elements? Like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, gold, hydrogen, that is mercury, etc. So there are many ancient elements which the people of ancient times, they know very much. So their names also we know them from the very olden days. Similarly, some of the elements, they were given Latin names also. For example, if you take gold, the Latin name of gold is aurum. Similarly, if you take mercury, its Latin name is hydrargyrum. Okay. Similarly, if you take silver, Latin name is argentinum. Similarly, if you take sodium, then its Latin name is natrium. Okay. So previously, from the olden days, already we know some elements. So already we know the names of these elements. Okay. Similarly, in the second condition, so if elements were discovered around some town or around some country, so name of that town is also given to the element. For example, there is a Scottish town called Ytterby. Okay, ma? So what is the name of the Scottish town? It is called as Ytterby. And near to this Ytterby town, so near to this town, four elements were discovered. Okay. So therefore we have named all those four elements based on this the town Ytterby itself. Okay. And what are the names of those four elements? One is erbium. All these four elements, they are present in the periodic table. Erbium. Second one is ytterbium. Third one is yttrium, and the fourth one is terbium. Okay. So based on names of the town also where these elements are discovered, we have named after the name of this town. So this is one method of naming of the elements. Clear? Similarly, we have named some elements based on the names of scientists also. Okay. So now in the modern periodic table we have 16 elements named after the scientists. Okay. So 16 elements were named on the name of the scientists. For example, we have lawrencium, rutherfordium. So all these type of elements, they are named on the names of the scientists itself. Clear? Now what about newly discovered elements? Okay, ma? For example, if we have discovered new element, then what about that one? So newly discovered elements. Okay. So for example, let us discuss about an element which is having an atomic number of 104. Okay ma? And this element, it was discovered by Americans as well as Russians at the same time. So Americans also discovered in their laboratory this element of atomic number 104. Similarly, Russians also have discovered that, and they have given their separate names. For example, Americans named this element as Rutherfordium, which we have on the same name in the periodic table. Similarly, when you take Russians named this one as Kurchatovium. Okay. So definitely there was a conflict between the Americans and Russians, so that which name should be given finally to this element. So both they have discovered independently. So which name should be given? So therefore, to end this type of conflicts, so IUPAC, so International Union for Pure and Applied Chemistry, it has given a code for naming of the elements whose atomic number is greater than 100. Clear ma? So therefore what we write here IUPAC, let us write them in capital letters. Clear ma? So IUPAC, International Union for Pure and Applied Chemistry, has given a code for naming the elements, clear ma, above atomic number 100. Clear? And those rules only we are going to study now. For example, if you take 0, okay, 0, it is given the name nil. Clear ma? And 1, it is given the name by. 2, it is 1 is given the name un. Okay ma? 2 is given the name by. 3 is given the name tri. 4 is given the name quad. 5 is given the name pent. 6 is given the name hex. 7 is given the name sept. 8 is given the name oct. 9 is given the name n. Okay. So if a newly discovered element is found out, then first of all, by using this what you call the naming procedure, first of all we will name that element. Then after finalizing who has discovered, who has more prominence in discovering that element, we give a final name to the element. Are you able to understand? Now actually total 118 elements are completely discovered ma. So periodic table is completely filled now. Okay. For example, let us try to understand this naming by taking some examples. Okay. For example, if I want to name the element 104, okay, so actually it is Rutherfordium, and according to this principle, if I want to name this element, then let us see how I can name this element. Clear? So 1 is called as what here? It is called un. Okay. 0 is called nil. Clear? 4 is called quad. Okay. Now if you combine all of them, what they will become? Un, nil, quad, ium. Okay ma? Anil quadium. Okay. So this is the name which I can give to this element. Okay. Similarly, let us take one more example. For example, if I want to write 116, clear? Then let us see how I can write this one. 1 can be called as un, another one can also be called as un, and 6 can be called as hex. Okay. So therefore, what will be the final name of this one ma? Unhexium. Okay ma? So this is how first of all we name the element by using IUPAC nomenclature. Then after finalizing which name should be given to that element, we name that particular element. Okay. So next we study about the general naming of the element or general elements, which we can call them as representative elements. Okay ma? So representative elements. So these elements, they are also called as normal elements. Are you able to understand? Okay ma? Now let us try to understand what is meant by representative elements, or you can also call them as normal elements. Okay, so these are the elements, belonging to S and P blocks. Okay ma? But excluding inert gases. Okay, so inert gases, they are present in the 18th group now. So just if you emit this 18th group elements and you consider all the elements which are present in S block and P block, then those elements we can call them as representative elements. Okay, so therefore what will be the general outer electronic configuration? Outer electronic configuration will be NS1 to NP5. Clear now? Because in S block elements we have 2 electrons which can be filled, and in P subshell total 6 electrons can be filled, but 1 electron will enter into inert gases now. So therefore the outermost electronic configuration is, it varies from NS1 to NP5. Now let us look into the diagram here. So if you can see here, clear ma? So all these elements, clear ma? Similarly these elements, so this one, and this one. So all of them, they belong to representative elements. Okay, so therefore what is the general outermost electronic configuration of lithium? It is 2s1, sodium it is 3s1, potassium it is 4s1, like this. And what is the outermost electronic configuration of fluorine? It is 2p5, chlorine it is 3p5, bromine it is 4p5, like this. So therefore for representative elements, what will be the general outermost electronic configuration ma? It varies from NS1 to NP5. Clear? Then the next general method of saying that the elements which we can call them is transition elements. Okay, so what is meant by transition elements ma? So these are the elements which belong to the D block. Okay ma? But here there is an exception. Out of all these D block elements, we remove the 12th group of elements. And which is the 12th group of elements? The elements which are zinc, cadmium, hydrogen, like this. These elements, if you remove them, then the remaining elements you can call them as transition elements. So therefore what I write here, so all the elements belonging to D block, okay, except 12th group elements, they are called as transition elements. And which are the 12th group elements here? So zinc, cadmium, mercury and copernicium. So these are the elements. Okay ma? So therefore what will be their general outermost electronic configuration ma? So the outermost electronic configuration will be, so n-1 D 1 to 9, clear ma? N is 0 or 1 or 2 also, clear ma? So this will be the outermost electronic configuration in the case of transition elements, clear ma? So n minus 1 d 1 to 9, because here electrons they are entering into d subshell domain. So therefore from 1 to 9 the electrons can enter into this d subshells. And ns, in the s subshell there may be 1 electron, there may be 2 electrons, there may be 0 electrons also. Okay ma? So therefore let us see in the periodic table. Clear? So which elements you can call them as a transition elements? Clear ma? So all these elements starting from here up to here. Okay, so all these elements you can call them as transition elements. Are you able to understand ma? And which are the elements we are excluding? So zinc, cadmium, mercury and copernicium, these are the elements we are excluding. Okay ma? So these elements you can call them as transition elements. Okay, then we study about the next block of elements which is called as, or next general type of naming the elements which is called as inner transition elements. Clear ma? So inner transition elements. Okay, now let us try to understand what is meant by inner transition elements. Okay ma? So elements belonging to F block. So how many F series are present in our periodic table ma? 4F series and 5F series are present. So therefore the electrons or the elements belonging to 4F series and 5F series, they are called as inner transition elements. Okay ma? So let us write. So the elements belonging to 4F and 5F subshells, 4F and 5F subshells are called inner transition elements. Inner transition elements. Clear ma? So therefore what is their outermost general electronic configuration? See ma, here if you see this F block elements, so these elements you can call them as lanthanides. Okay ma? Belonging to 4F series, and these elements you can call them as actinides. Clear? And they belong to 5F series. Okay, now if you see their general outermost electronic configuration, for example if you see thorium, it is 6d2 and 7s2. Are you able to understand ma? Similarly if you see here neptunium, atomic number 93, it is 5f4 6d1 7s2. Are you able to understand? So if you see any of these elements, S subshell is completely filled here, and in D subshell either you can see 0 electrons or 1 electron, and F electrons they are varying from, that is electrons in the F subshell they are varying from 1 to 40. Are you able to understand ma? So therefore what is the outermost electronic configuration in the case of inner transition elements? So outer electronic configuration is what? It is n minus 2 f 1 to 14 n minus 1 d. Either 1 electron may be present or 0 electrons may be present, and ns2. Okay ma? So this is the outermost electronic configuration of inner transition elements. Clear ma? Similarly, now we shall study about some of the properties of S block elements. Okay, some of the properties of S block elements. Are you able to understand ma? See ma, in the periodic table already we have studied that if we travel from right side to, that is from left side to right side of the periodic table, what happens to the metallic nature? Metallic nature continuously decreases. Are you able to understand ma? So therefore if I travel from left to right in a periodic table, what happens to the metallic nature? Metallic nature decreases. Are you able to understand ma? This downward arrow symbol indicates that it is decreasing. So metallic nature definitely decreases. Okay. So therefore in S block we have only two groups. Okay. So lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium, this is one group. And the second group is beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium and radium. So these are the two groups which are present in S block. So once let us see the periodic table. So these are the two S block elements which are present. Clear Nama? So here I have lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium. So this is the first group of S block elements. So beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium and radium. So this is the second group of S block elements. Are you able to understand? And these are definitely metals. How can you say these are metals? Because already we have discussed that when I travel from left to right in a periodic table, what happens to the metallic nature? Metallic nature decreases. So therefore the S block elements which are present on the left hand side of the periodic table, definitely they are pure metals. So therefore what I write, all the elements are pure metals. Okay, ma? And what kind of metals they are? They are soft metals. Okay, ma? What is meant by soft metal? You can even cut them with the help of a knife also. Clear? So they have very low boiling point and very low melting point also. So their boiling points and melting points are very less. Are you able to understand, ma? Similarly, what about their radius? So they have maximum radius. Their sizes are maximum. Okay, ma? Why their sizes are maximum? Because if I travel from left side to right side in a periodic table, what happens to the atomic radius? Atomic radius decreases. Okay, ma? Because atomic radius decreases, definitely the elements which are present on the left hand side of the periodic table, definitely their radius should be maximum. Are you able to understand? So therefore cesium is the element. Cesium is the element with highest atomic radius. Are you able to understand? So francium is also an element with a very high atomic radius. No? So cesium and francium, definitely they are comparable to each other. Are you able to understand? So let us see once again, let us visit the periodic table. So here I can see, clear ma? So here I can see definitely. So this is cesium and francium. So these are the elements which are having the highest atomic radius in the total periodic table. Clear? That's it. Okay. Similarly, in the same S block elements, if I discuss about electronegativity, clear nama? Which is the next concept we are discussing, electronegativity. So if I travel from left side to right side of a periodic table, so therefore what happens? Electronegativity increases, electropositivity decreases. Are you able to understand, ma? So therefore the elements which are present on the left hand side of the periodic table, they are highly electropositive in nature. So this we can understand now, because electropositivity decreases if I travel from left side to right side of the periodic table. It means the elements of S block, they are highly electropositive in nature. So therefore what I say? So therefore S block elements are highly electropositive. Okay, ma? They are highly electropositive in nature. Okay. Similarly, if I study one more property, again if I travel from left side to right side of the periodic table, what happens to the oxidizing nature? Clear, ma? So oxidizing nature increases. Clear? Or also you can say reducing nature decreases. Clear, number? If reducing nature is decreasing, then what is the meaning of this one? It means definitely the elements, block elements, they are having highest reducing nature. So therefore I can say S block elements has highest reducing nature. Okay, ma? So they have the highest reducing nature. Clear? So this is about some of the properties regarding S block elements. Clear? There are some more additional properties also, ma, which we need to understand. So that's it. They have a very large affinity towards oxygen. Okay, ma? Very large affinity towards oxygen. And one more property is that they displace hydrogen from acids, okay, ma, and form respective salts. So this is also one of the property of S block elements. Clear, na? And one more property is they form ionic compounds. What is meant by ionic compounds? It means electrons they give, for example, if two atoms they are combining to become one molecule, ma, one electron donates an electron and another atom accepts an electron. Then this kind of atoms you can call them as ionic compounds. Clear, ma? But here there is an exception, ma. In chemistry, exceptions are very important. Exception is lithium and beryllium, they form covalent compounds. Okay, ma? They form covalent compounds. This is the exception which we are supposed to remember. Clear, ma? And what about valency of this S block elements? So valency is generally fixed and they are having a valency of 1 and 2. Clear, ma? 1 means this 1 is the valency of which elements? Alkali metals. Okay, ma? What is meant by alkali metals? Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium. And 2 is the valency for alkaline earth metals. Okay, ma? So which are the alkaline earth metals, ma? So they are beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium and radium. Clear, ma? So then we study about the next type of elements which are called as P block elements. Clear, ma? P block elements. So where these P block elements they are present, ma? So they are present in between, they are from group 13 to 18. Clear, na, ma? So let us see this periodic table, ma, so that we can understand what is happening. Clear? So see here. So this group we can call it as the 13th group, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18. Clear, na, ma? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 6 group of elements, we can call them as S block elements. Why they are called S block elements? Already we have discussed, no, ma? Because the differentiating electron or the last electron, it enters into the S block, it enters into the P block. That is why they are called as P block elements. Okay. Then what is their outer electronic configuration? Outermost electronic configuration is NS2 NP126. Clear, ma? That is the outermost electronic configuration of P block elements. Clear? And they are a mixture of metals, non-metals and metalloids. Metalloids also you can call them as semi-metals. Are able to understand, ma? See, but this is the only group P block where you will find metals also, you will find non-metals also, you will find metalloids also. Are you able to understand? So therefore, if you see in this periodic table, so which one of them you can call them as semi-metals here? Let us see. Clear now? Sima, all these elements, okay, so which of them I am indicating by green color highlighter here, they belong to semi-metals or metalloids. Are you able to understand? And remaining the elements which are present on the right hand side, which are the elements which are present on the right hand side here? So carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, all of them. So all these remaining elements, they will become non-metals, okay ma? And all the elements which are present on the left hand side, they will become the metals. So aluminium, gallium, indium, thallium, nihonium, all of them, they will become the metals. Clear ma? So this is how this P block is arranged. Are you able to understand? So there are metals also, non-metals also, and metalloids also, they are present in the P block. Are you able to understand? And one more important point is that there are totally 10 gaseous elements in the P block. Totally we have 10 gaseous elements. What are the 10 gaseous elements? Let us list out them. So neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, fluorine, oxygen, carbon, oganesson, chlorine. Are you able to understand ma? So these are the elements which are of gaseous type. Clear? So let us see those elements. Clear ma? So these are the elements which are present on the right hand side of the periodic table. Clear now ma? Okay. So there is one more point which you should understand ma, that is gallium and bromine, they are in liquid form at room temperature. Are you able to understand? So these are the elements which are present in liquid form in room temperature. Clear? And one more important point is about the number of oxidation states. So they have oxidation states ranging from n to n minus 8. Clear now? Where what is called as n here? N is number of electrons in outermost shell. Are you able to understand ma? So n is the number of electrons in outermost shell. Are you able to understand? Now let us try to understand this one by taking one example. Clear na ma? For example, we will write 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17 the group elements. Are you able to understand ma? For example, let us take which element here? We will take boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and fluorine. Let us take them. Okay ma? So let us take boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and fluorine. Let us take these elements. Clear nama? Now if you see, boron is having an atomic number of 5 nama. So therefore what will be its configuration? 1s2, 2s2 and 2p1. Clear nama? Similarly, if you write for carbon, its atomic number is 6. So 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. Similarly, if you write for nitrogen, 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. Similarly, if you write for oxygen, 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. Similarly, if you write for fluorine, 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. Clear nama? So this is the configuration of these respective elements. Now here we have written that the oxidation states, they vary from n to n minus 8. Are you able to understand where n is the number of electrons in the outermost shell? Okay. Now here, how many electrons are present in the outermost shell? Clear ma? 3 electrons are present. So their oxidation states vary from plus 3 and 3 minus 8. Clear na ma? So therefore plus 3 to minus 5. Clear ma? So these are the number of oxidation states which can be present in 13th group elements. Are you able to understand? Similarly, if you take 14th group elements, the number of electrons in the outermost shell is 4. Clear nama? So therefore what I write here, therefore I will write 4 plus 4 to 4 minus 8. Are you able to understand ma? So plus 4 to minus 4. Okay. Similarly, here what can you write? Here you can write 5 to minus 3. Clear ma? 6 to minus 2. Plus 7, plus 6, plus 5. Plus 7 to minus 1. Are you able to understand ma? So these are the different oxidation states which can be present in the p block elements. Okay.